It's been a while since I did an end-to-end portfolio project for data visualization, so I really hope you're excited to learn how to create this beautiful, interactive dashboard. Now, before we jump into the dashboard build, let me show you really quickly why this is a great project to add to your portfolio. I said interactive, right? The end user of this dashboard will be able to pick the metrics they would like to see with a simple click, so they can change between average overall ratings or food ratings or entertainment ratings very easily. The end user would also have various other useful filters to find exactly the data points they're looking for, not to mention that each of the visuals are dynamic filters themselves, so you can easily pick the date you're after or the specific country you're interested in. I'll leave the links to the Tableau dashboard and the data I used in the description below, so feel free to recreate this for yourself. Or even better, put your own twist on the visualizations. I'll also leave the links to my ultimate portfolio, my data roadmap, and my professional resume templates, and my one-to-one coaching sessions below as well, in case you want to check them out. All right, we're back with another portfolio project. It's been a while, but today we're going to do some great visualizations. And in this video, I'm going to try my best to correct all of my mistakes, so I'm not going to cut it out. I'll show you what a real data analysis workflow looks like. So if I miss something, for example, I'm going to go back and I'm going to create it, recreate it, or amend it. So first of all, let's connect to our data set. It's going to be two CSV files, so I'm going to connect to a text file, select it here, and then I have two tables, BA reviews and countries. So let me just load that in. And I'm not going to walk you through the entire data set, but essentially the British Airways reviews is a data set where each row of data is a review. So it has an author, a date, a place where the review took place, and then you can see a bunch of information about the review with some really important metrics like rating, seat comfort, cabin staff service, food beverages, ground service, value for money, and entertainment. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring in the countries table, and I'm going to edit the relationship. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to select place, because I know the place column has the countries in the BA reviews table, and then the country column, of course, has the countries in the countries table. So I did this because I want to use various filters like continent or region in my dashboard, and this is just a country mapping table here that I'm going to use. So first of all, let me go to sheet 1. And before I jump into building anything, let me just walk you through the dashboard really quick again. So what we're going to build here is this dashboard that you see. And this is great because it's very, very interactive, starting with our pick a metric here. So this, for example, I can toggle between overall rating, cabin staff service, entertainment, food, ground service, or seat comfort, or even value. And then if I just go back onto overall rating, I have a timeline filter as well. I can choose the seat types, a business class, economy class, or all. I can choose the traveler type, and I know I have a null here because actually I did have one null value for this, but you can choose, business travelers, couples, families, solo, leisure, or all. You can choose the aircraft, actually, which exact aircraft you want to see the reviews for, and then the continent, which is coming from our countries mapping table. So, you can choose Europe or all or whatever. Let me just zoom out on the map a little bit. You can see everything on the map, and it's super interactive because, say, for example, let me just zoom in on the US. I click on the US and then it's a filter. So I see all of the reviews for the US, and then I unclick it. Let me just zoom out. I could click on Boeing 747-400 here. If I click on this, that becomes the filter. If I click on this filter right here, that becomes the filter. And then if I click on a specific month, say for example the 20th of August, then that becomes a filter. So you can see it's super interactive. We have a big title here, some summary metrics at the top, and then that's the dashboard. Okay, so first of all, we're going to build the map. And to build a map, we'll need the place column. Now you can see that currently next to the place column, it says ABC, which is not good because we want this to be a geographic location. So right click, geographic role, and then just select the correct one, which is country and region. And now you see we have this little globe or earth shape here. And now Tableau knows this is a geographical location, so you can double click and Tableau will automatically generate the map for you. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the metrics that we can choose from. So again, let me just remind you what they are. They are going to be these metrics here. We can toggle between them. And I'm going to create a parameter that's going to allow us to do this. So to create this parameter, right click, create a parameter. And I'm going to call this parameter pick a metric. And then the data type is string. It's going to be of list format. And then I'm going to have overall rating. I'm also going to have cabin staff service. I'm also going to have entertainment. I'm also going to have food. And then ground service. And then I'll have seat comfort. And the final one, I believe it's going to be value. So this is my list. Hit OK. And then my metric is here on the bottom left. So right click, show parameter. And now you see I have my parameter right here. So the parameter is here. Let me just change the parameter to a single value list. And now you can see that I have all of them right here. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is we need to actually create a calculated field so we can actually use the ratings. So you can come here, right click, create calculated field. And I'm going to call this calculated field metric selected. And all I'm going to do is use a case statement. So I'm going to say case, pick a metric. When pick a metric is equal to overall rating, then give me the rating when it's equal to cabin staff service. Then give me the cabin staff service when it's equal to entertainment. Then give me entertainment when it's equal to food. Then just give me food beverages when it's equal to ground service. Then give me ground service. And then when it's equal to seat comfort, I want to see the seat comfort ratings. And then when it's equal to value, then I would like to see the value for money ratings. And we need to end the case statement, and that's it. I'm going to hit OK. And then here's my metric. I'm going to go show filter. And let me just hide this card. Oh, actually, I shouldn't have shown the filter because this is not going to be a filter. So let me just drag it out. The thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to drag this into the color shelf. So on Mac, you can hold the option and drag, and then you can select average like this. There you go. You see it's the average now. Let me just undo this. On PC, it's just going to be literally right click and drag. So it's going to be a lot easier, I think, on Windows. But if you just left click and drag, it's just going to take the sum right here. You see? It's going to take the sum by default. So this is not what we want. We would like the average ratings. So hold the option on Mac, on PC, or on Windows. Just right click and drag. I'm going to select the average and then color or map. All right, so I'm going to hide this card because I don't want this. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll tidy up my map. So I'm going to go to the top here, go to map, and then select normal first. And then I go to background layers, washout. I'll increase it to say 50%, 51, that's fine. And then here I'll add the coastline because I like it. I'll take the states out. And that's about it for now. I'm going to change the color to a specific green, opacity 100%. And then for the colors, there's actually a color that I like. So the hex is 013220, and that's the specific green that I like for this one. And that's it. That's everything, I think, tied it up here. So now let me just see if actually changing the metric will change things. As I'm clicking on the map, clearly I'm selecting different things. Now let's give this a bit more meaningful title. So I'm going to say this is average, and then I can just insert my metric. So by country, and then now you'll see that because I picked overall rating, it says average overall rating by country. But I can have average cabin staff service by country or average entertainment by country. Let me actually just put this in the middle, make it bold, hit OK, and there we go. We're looking nice. All right, next up, I want to create some filters, I believe. So if I go back onto this dashboard, which is done here, I have all of these filters, and I need to apply all of these filters. So that's the next thing we'll do. All right, so next up, let's create the month filter. So let me just drag the date onto the filters. I'll select days and hit next, but it doesn't matter what you select. Hit OK. Our map disappears, but that's fine. You can right click on the day and select continuous month. Hit OK, and you see now everything comes back. Click on the date again, show the filter, and then now you see on the top right, we have a nice little filter going on here. There you go. So we have a nice filter, that's number one. And then I want to make this applicable to everything, so all using this data. The next filter I'm going to create is going to be the seat type, so show filter, and then traveler type, again, show the filter. I want to make sure that this applies to everything using this data. Same goes for the traveler type. And then if I go back to the right here, instead of this kind of list, I would prefer actually just a single value list. So let me select all. Seat type, again, single value list. Let me hit all. And I think that looks quite nice now. You can move these filters around, so I would prefer to have the metric on the top, and then maybe the month, then the traveler type, the seat type, and after that, I would like the aircraft to be a filter. Now, the only thing with the aircraft is that we have so many. Let me just demonstrate. So I bring the aircraft in to the rows, and you can see that we have so many. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pick out the aircraft with the most number of reviews, roughly. So I grab the number of reviews, and then I bring it in here, sort descending, and then you can see that the A320 has the most number of reviews, 263. And then I'll say that everything under 50 reviews, I'm just going to put it in other category or various categories. So I come in here, and then I'm going to group them. So now I have this aircraft group. And let me just come in here, change the name of this group to various. So anything that has less than 50 reviews, I say is just called various. And it just makes it so much tidier. Look, we have a lot fewer aircrafts now. So let me go back onto the first sheet, and let me actually rename this to map. Let me go to aircraft, the group one, show the filter, and make sure that it applies to all using this data. And then I go to the aircraft on the right here, this filter. And instead of having the multiple value list, I'm just going to have a single value drop down. And now I can pick all, or I can pick A320 or Boeing 747 or all. And then let me drag this to the bottom. And I think the last filter I'm going to add is going to be a super simple one, just the continent. So right click, show filter. Again, right click, apply to worksheets, all using this data. And then I have the continent right here. And again, instead of multiple values list, I would prefer a single value dropdown. There you go. And let me drag this to the bottom. So now I have all my filters. I have my map. And if I just scroll through the map and if I hover over things, I can see that the tooltip I'm not super happy with. So into the tooltip, and let me just put it here. Place can stay, but I don't actually want the place. So the second thing I'm going to change is average, and I'm just going to insert the actual metric. And now untick this, untick include command buttons, hit OK, and let me just go to UK, for example, because, well, I live in the UK and I am a British citizen now, so I'll go with the UK for now. And you can see that the average overall rating is 4.234, but if I change it, for example, to cabin staff service, then the average cabin staff service is 3.267. I don't like these decimals, so I'm going to format, right click, go to format, go to pane, and then number custom, decimal place is just 1. And then if I go back now, you can see that the average cabin staff service was 3.3. So that looks much better now. I think maybe one thing I could add is a metric to show not just how good the reviews were, but the volume of the reviews. So how many reviews came from that specific country. So that's quite easy to do. I grab the reviews, drop it on the tooltip, go back into my tooltip, and I'm going to call this number of reviews. And then all I have to do is just insert the number of reviews. And then I'll make everything bold and gray. Hit OK. Again, let me just go back onto the UK. And now you can see that the country is obviously United Kingdom. The rating for average cabin staff service is 3.3 and the number of reviews is 849. All right, okay, so I think that's the map done, and let me just bring in the final version again. So the map is done, this right here. All of these filters, we just created them. So the next thing to do, I would say, is let's create these summary metrics at the top. And I just noticed here, actually, I put average rating second, but I'm probably gonna move it to be the first because it's the most important rating. So let's do that now. All right, so I'm gonna go to sheet 2. I'm gonna clear everything. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in my, which one am I gonna bring in? I'm gonna bring in my rating right here into text, and then I'll select average. And then the next thing I'll bring in would be average cabin staff service. So onto the number until it says show me, and then drop it in, average. Okay, so now we have 2. Entertainment, drag it in here, average entertainment. I would also like the average food. So I'll get the average food. I'll get the average ground service as well. And then I'll also get the average seat comfort. And then finally, I'll also get the average value for money. All right, that's all of my values right here. Let me drag the measure names onto columns. And then let me drag the measure names actually onto the text field. So what I did on my Mac was I pressed the FN key and the command, but on Windows you can just press Control and drag, and then basically you're just copying it over. Let me make the columns a little bit wider so you can see what's going on. Right here, there we go. So next thing I'm gonna do, right click, and I don't want to show the header. I'll give this sheet a new name called summary. Hit OK, and then let me just adjust my text so I want it in the center, and then go back into my text, and I want the measure values to come first. So measure values, and then the measure names, put them in the middle. The measure values, I think I'm gonna make them bold and say 20. Yeah, I think that looks much nicer. Hit OK, and there we go. Now I'm gonna format, go to my borders, and I don't want any row dividers. It just looks neater. Again, I'm gonna call this sheet summary. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna reorder these. So average rating has to be the first, and then I don't actually care what order the other ones come in. And one last thing, let me just format the decimals. So I'm not a big fan of 3 decimals, so onto measure values, format, and then numbers, custom, 1 decimal. Yeah, and I think that looks neat now. All right, next up, let me just look at our final dashboard. Let's create this average, whatever the metric we pick, by month chart. Okay, so let me just go to a new worksheet, and then I'm going to drag the date onto the columns, select continuous month, and then I'm going to drag the average metric selected. There we go. For the color, I'll choose this green that I already used before, and I think I'm going to format this as well. So onto the borders, I don't want any of this, and then onto the lines, I don't want any of these lines. So let me just drop lines, don't want them. Axis rulers, axis ticks, also don't want them. I don't want grid lines, and yeah, I think that's good. So I don't want any of that. On the y-axis, I think I'll keep the numbers, but I don't actually want the title. So let me delete that. On the x-axis, again, I want the numbers, but I don't want the title. So let me just delete that. And this worksheet, I'm going to call it average. Again, insert the metric by month. And then again, make it bold, move it to the middle, hit OK. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, again, I'm gonna bring in our dashboard. So we finished this month chart. We finished the country one, the map. We finished our summary key metrics. And we also have all of our filters. So we only have one visual left, which is gonna be the average cabin staff service by aircraft, or average, whatever metric you pick by aircraft. So let me just create that one, rename this sheet to month, and then new worksheet. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in our aircraft group. I'm gonna grab the metric selected right here, drag it into columns, select the average, and then I'm gonna order descending. And then what I'm gonna do is I also wanna see the volume of the reviews. So I grab the count, drag it in here, and that's about it. Now all I gotta do is edit this axis. So instead of saying average metric selected, we'll just use our parameter. It's the easiest way to do it. And then this other axis, I'm gonna rename this to number of reviews. Nice, looks good. That's format. So I don't want, again, any of these. I don't want any row dividers. Don't want any column dividers. Don't like any of that. Don't want this. Don't want this. And then into here. I think it's maybe columns. I don't need those grid lines. Yeah. All right, let me just get rid of everything just to make sure that nothing is going to ruin our visuals. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Drop lines, axis text. Don't want any of that. All right, okay. I also want to hide the field labels for the rows. And now I'm going to give it some color. So for the average metric selected, obviously, I'm just going to use the average metric selected. And I'll make this, again, green, the green that I like. So it's 013220. Hit apply. Yeah, looks nice. And then for the number of the reviews, I'm actually going to use pink, because apparently green and pink go well together. So E75480, that's the hex code. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. All right. Oh, except, yeah, the only problem is I just gave it a color. I didn't actually tell it how to scale this color. So let's do it again. Let me just go back into colors, E75480. There we go. This is going to look much nicer now. And I also want to see the actual numbers. Now, again, the only thing I don't like is I have so many decimals here. So back onto average metric selected, format, pane, numbers, custom, and then I only want one decimal place. And I'm going to call this worksheet average, whatever the metric is, by aircraft. And then I make sure that everything is in the middle. It's bold, apply. Yep, that looks good. Let me just hide these cards. Hide this one. I'll hide this one as well. And I'm going to call this worksheet aircraft. All right, so I believe now we have everything to create our final dashboard, which again is going to look like this. So what I like to do nowadays, actually the simplest way to do it, to make everything align, is instead of using tiled dashboards, I just use floating now, because Tableau is really funny with spacing and throwing in whatever containers you have. So I come here, I select fixed size, and for this one, I'll say 1200 by whatever, 700, for example. And then first of all, what I am going to do is select floating here, and then throw in some text. So this is going to be our dashboard title, British Airways Review. There we go. I'll make this, say, for example, 18. Yep, bold. Make it black. Chuck it in here, and there we go, put it here. And then I have my summary metrics, drag it all the way out here. Go up here, select the entire view. That always helps. I'm gonna hide the title, and then put it somewhere here. Now onto British Airways reviews, go to layout, and I want it to start from 00. And I'll give it a width of say 200 and a height of 100. Okay, yeah, that looks all right. Make everything align in the middle. So then I can come into this container here. I'll make the X start at 200, Y at 0, and then I'll make it maybe 900 by 100. Oh, maybe make it a little bit longer. So let me just go back here, and all I have to do is really just drag it all the way to the end. And there we go. So now let's color it up. Let's come in here, and all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna say that I want a background of green. This is the green that I used before. I'll change the text to white, hit OK, and then I come onto this container, go to the top here, format, shading, and then the worksheet will be blue. And then if I go to the font, I want the font to be white. Okay, I think that looks pretty good now. So we have our key summary metrics, and then we have our dashboard title. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag in my map, and along with my map, you can see that I have a bunch of filters coming in as well, which is fine. I'm just gonna reorganize these. So I'll grab a vertical container right here, and then I'm just gonna move it anywhere here, really. Yeah, make it about, I would say, this size. Go to the layout. It starts at 0, and then I'll make it start at, say, 110, just so it's a little bit below the reviews. Width, I'll make it 200, and for now, the height, I'll keep it at whatever's just long enough to fit in. Okay, 588. Yeah, it's not exact science. It doesn't have to be all the times. So maybe I'll start it at 105, actually. A little bit higher. Okay, 102, fine. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is grab my pick a metric parameter. So if you hold down shift, you can just drag it in and it'll be tiled. So you see, I can pick overall rating here. Next up, I'll drag my month. Again, hold down shift, put it in. Traveler type, hold down shift, drag it in. Seat type, hold down shift, drag it in. Aircraft group, hold down shift, hold down shift, drag it in. And then one more filter, continent, hold down shift, drag it in. And I think, yeah, that's about it. That looks good. So now the only thing that's left to do really is just to put the other worksheets on. So I have a month, put it right here, somewhere here. I have the average overall rating by country. Maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger. Maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger. And then I have the aircraft one. I'll put this on the bottom. Let's say I drag it all the way out here. And instead of standard, again, I'll make it entire view. Look, just looks nicer. This is already entire view, so let me just align this one now. Go to layout. I'll make the X position start at 200, and I'll make the Y start at 102, wherever this container started. Yeah, 102, that's fine. Again, this one, I'll make it start at 102, and then I can drag it in a little bit. What's the height on this? I'll say 270. I'll make the height on this 270 as well. And then I'm left with this one here. So this is going to start at, what is it, 200? It should start at, I think so. Yep, 200. And then the height on this is good. Maybe I'll give it a bit more width or length. And there we go. I think that looks nice. Now, the only thing I didn't account for is the fact that I wanted a separation line between the filters and my actual dashboard. So it's this little line here you see running through. So what I'm gonna do now is I just moved this container and this a tiny bit. And let's see, I moved this one to, where's my X starting point, 220. So I'll make this 220 and then back into dashboard. And then I'm gonna grab a blank container. So I move this blank in and then let me just put it, yeah, roughly here. And then, yeah, literally drag it in just like this. I'll say the start position, I think it's gonna have to be at like 200-ish. Yeah, Y is 100, height 600. Yeah, that looks good. And the width, I'll make it only 3. The background is gonna be green. And then that's it. Now you have this little line that separates everything. Okay, so this was probably quite quick. So I need to look through my dashboard, which makes sense when you're done. So let's just hover through everything, make sure it looks nice. Yeah, so I think the map looks good. The tooltips look good. But if I hover over the month, the tooltips look a bit funny. So let me actually go back and let me tidy up my tooltips. So let me just delete this. I don't need this. And then instead of saying average metric selected, how about we just actually display the actual metric that we're selecting? There we go. Untick this, hit OK. Yeah, looks much nicer. And then let me make everything bold. And to be consistent, I'll pick this gray. Yeah, that looks good. One more thing, again, formatting. I don't like the decimals. I have way too many of them. So 1 decimal place. All right, nice. That looks neat. Let's go back into the dashboard. Let's look through it. Looks good. All right, so the aircraft one, yeah, I need to tidy up the tooltip as well. So let me go back in here. The tooltip here, I don't really want the aircraft group. So yeah, I don't want that to be repeated, and then it's just average, whatever the metric is. Yep, right there. I'll make everything bold. This gray, untick, untick, hit OK. And let's look at it now. Looks good. Now let me see the count. Again, I'll do the same for the number of reviews as well. No need to duplicate aircraft groups. I just want to see what the actual aircraft group is, and instead of count of BA reviews, I think it's much nicer if it says number of reviews. Make everything bold. Again, same color, untick, untick, and look at it now. Yeah, that's nice, looks much better. The extra thing I guess I could add is on the metrics themselves, the average ones, I could also add in the tooltip the number of reviews. So I can grab this, throw it in here, go into the tooltip, number of reviews, and then just insert it. There you go. And you see, now I have all of them. So I have the aircraft A380, average overall rating 4.0, and number of reviews 1, 2, 4. I could do the exact same for the number of reviews as well for the tooltip. So let me just grab the average metric selected, throw it in the tooltip, click the tooltip, and then let's just adjust it. So this is going to be the average, whatever that metric is, and then just put in the actual metric value. And there we go, tooltips, tidied up. So now if I just hover over everything, I think everything looks really neat. So the only thing left really is to test out how nice and dynamic and interactive everything is. I'll try all of the filters here on the left first. So let me just click through them. Yeah, that works, that works. Value, yep, that's all of them working. Our timeline filter, yeah, again, that works nice. Let me just clear that. Traveler type, business, couple, family, solo. And then we have seat type, so we have business class, economy class, first class, premium, economy. And then we can select aircrafts as well. So A321 or Boeing 777 or various, obviously, which is, we have a lot of other aircrafts as well that didn't have a high number of reviews, so we just collated them into one. And then continent, again, you know, I can select Africa, or I can select Antarctica, yeah. We don't have one, but Asia, for example. And then you can scroll around and, you know, you can zoom in on the map and you can see exactly what's going on. And then you can zoom out. But I can select Europe, for example, and then you look around on the map. So let me just clear this filter. And the other bit we need to do now is, you see when I click on month or when I click on the country, it doesn't actually filter anything. So literally click on the visual, go to this little tiny button here, use as filter, and then do the same for this one and do the same for this visual as well. So now, for example, if I click on September 2020, you can see that it acts as a month filter. I could obviously do the same if I click on February 2018, same effect. And then I can click on countries as well. So let's pick Australia. And there you go, it works as a filter. But again, the average rating by aircraft visual also works as a filter. So if I click on various, I'm just going to see the ratings for the various aircrafts. And that's about it. I think that is the dashboard. Oh yeah, one final thing, actually. There's a really easy way you can publish this to the cloud. So literally all you got to do is sign in to your Tableau public account and then save to Tableau public. And then once you do that, it's just going to be in the cloud. So I don't actually have mine open at the moment, but I'm going to upload this one to the cloud as well, so you can take a look. But it's that easy. Tableau public is great. It's free. So use it. You can put your entire portfolio on there in terms of Tableau, obviously. So it's a good tool to use. And that's it. If you've watched this far, thanks a lot for being here. And I really hope you learned something cool in a fun way. If you enjoy content like this, make sure to check out some of my other videos right here. And that's all from me now. I'll see you in the next one.